are ready to rock and roll for another night and another day of USL League Two action featuring the defending champions, Foothills FC, live from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Dave Stanish and Paul Collins along for the ride with you one more time as we are here at Hellard Field at Shoal Park for our second of two matches on this weekend between the Vancouver TSS Rovers and the Calgary Foothills FC. Foothills in the white jerseys with the green stripes. Let's let you hear in on all these starting lineups from our P announcer.
Number 10, Matteo Polisi, and number 25, Christian Lee Heitinen. And now for your Foothills FC roster, game day. Number 2, Dan Pritchard. Number 4, Ewan. Test. Oh, there we are. Number 15, Dan Kaiser. Number 24, Yassine Chamoun. Number Stan Hayfield. Number 8, Marcus Campanile. Number 16, Francesco Bartolillo. Number 7, Corey Bent. Number 9, Willie Akio. Number 11, Tofa Fukunle. And in net, number 1, Ben Jackson.
All right, once again, those goalkeepers, Ben Jackson in green for Foothills FC, Luciano Trasolini, number 1, in black for the Vancouver TSS Rovers. One more time with that Rovers lineup. Trasolini in net, Haynes, Shmichenko, Gindo, and Pang on the defense. Midfielders, Mark Baldissimo, number 5. German Sancha, he draws in for Eric DeGraff, who I talked to before the game, and will tell you more about the details of his injury from Friday night. And number 9, David Malamura, the midfielders. For the Vancouver TSS Rovers forward line, Connor McMillan, 16. Matteo Polisi, who scored the first goal for Vancouver Friday night, number 10. And Christian Yeli Heitinen, number 25, who scored that second goal. Calgary scored 1 in the first half, scored the second. Vancouver replied on a penalty kick about 3 minutes later. Calgary got a third, Corey Bent. Vancouver replied about 70 seconds later to make it 3-2, and about 15 to 20 minutes of high pressure later, it ended up 3-2. Paul, we had you for our 45 and 90-minute focuses last week. We'll have you for the whole game today. Your thoughts about Friday and what we're going to be in for the next 90 minutes.
Well, after Friday's game, that was a pretty intense game. The good rivalry. I'm going to see it even more heated probably today. It's a warm day, and I think the boys are really out to play today to prove themselves. TSS Rovers want to get a win on the road, so I think we're going to have a very, very good game here today.
Unlike Friday night, and unlike every time the Cavalry seem to ever play a soccer game ever, we have no rain and no snow, and none in the forecast. So this is a rarity for Calgary-based soccer clubs in 2019, as the crowd, definitely an improvement from Friday nights, seeing the sunshine instead of the rain out of their home windows, decide to come by today, and we're getting a very good response here today on Sunday for this rematch, game 3 of a 3-game series, thanks to the schedule makers at USL League 2, and this could be an early opportunity knocked away from McMillan, 16 in red. Normally, as you can see, the other kind of football is played here, especially high school football in September, October, and November. Keep in mind for the yellow lines. The yellow lines are what we have to focus on for our boundaries. Not a lot of wind. You can see it's swirling far to near right now. It was very left to right on Friday night. And the clock is now running, and we'll have an approximate idea, but of course our head referee, Raul Braceno, decides everything with his watch. These two teams know each other very well and have seen a lot of each other, and unless they play in a Western Conference Final Four, as one is the Northwest Division winner, and the other is the Western Conference wild card team, similar to how it's done in Major League Baseball. This would be the last time they play each other. You were in Vancouver on Sunday in the 28 degrees. Then you were here, Paul, for the 5 or 6 degrees we had on Friday. This is a 2-game lead for Foothills FC, and obviously Vancouver certainly does not want to be swept in this 3-game set. Just your thoughts on those 2 games put together that we've seen between these two teams and how that leads to today.
Well, again, it's a very close competition. These teams are very good teams. They're quite tricky. TSS Rovers has some really good forwards who like to do a lot of dummy runs, etc., to try and score. They know each other very well. They've been together with each other for over 3 years, so that's an interesting setup there. A lot of familiarity on the team. Calgary, on the other hand, a young team, but again, they seem to have gelled very, very well under Leon Hapgood. So again, very, very good. Lots of good talent here. So it's going to be a fantastic game for the crowd today.
Leon Hapgood, first-year head coach, and Will Cromack, second-year head coach. Vancouver wanting a call here. They're not going to get it. Once again, Vancouver in the red and Calgary in the white with the green stripes. They're going to get a corner kick out of that situation, Paul, but they wanted a lot more.
Yeah, they were looking for a handball there, but again, it was ball to hand. There was no way he could get out of a shot like that from close range, so ref made the right call.
Lob in from Polisi, just off the edge of the crossbar. They're going to wave it down because it was on the opposite side of the crossbar, and we're going to get a new soccer ball here. Ben Jackson gave up 2 on Friday night. Hadn't given up more than 1 in any of the preseason games prior to this, and made some critical saves in Seattle and in Vancouver, and in a bit of trouble right now. Not being able to handle that, Dan Kaiser, and it's going to be a turnover for Heitnen. Eli Heitnen trying to make a move, rolls away from him, back to the midfielders, and they'll reorganize. Just your thoughts on Ben Jackson in what you've seen.
So far, really good. I mean, he's doing a great job up there, and also, Ben, keeping on, he's switched on. He's not switched off. As a goalie, you always have to be switched on. You never know when that shot's going to come. And like I said, TSS Rovers can surprise you with a quick shot before they even set. So, on his toes as usual.
If you're a Foothills FC Twitter follower, and you really should be, we have a video interview with Tofa Fakunle introducing us to Ben Jackson. We encourage you to go check that out. About 4.5 minutes in, another corner, second of the day. A little tighter in. Foothills managed to clear, and Willie Aki out the 25-yard line is going to try to escape the pressure here. Whistle in favor of Foothills. Free kick awarded to Dan Kaiser, 15, but he'll give it up. A bit of early pressure here. Vancouver not wanting to react. I mean, obviously, when Calgary went up 2-0, Vancouver immediately replied. When Calgary went up 3-1, Vancouver immediately replied, but they don't want to have to be replying to Calgary's weaknesses. They want to push the pressure from the first minute. A lob in. No luck for Kaiser. German Sancha draws himself into the game today. We'll tell you about the substitutes here in a few minutes. Looking for Akiao. No luck for him off his sternum. And it'll be Calgary ball here on the near side.
TSS Rovers are making a really good push here the first 5-10 minutes. They really want to score quickly, get ahead, keep Foothills under pressure. Doing a good job so far, but Foothills is working their way out of it very well. Great passing, moving the ball around.
Just a high ankle sprain for Eric DeGraff. He said he was expecting it to be much worse, that he'd actually maybe broken his tibia. But the x-rays were negative, fortunately, and just a strained ankle, which is never a lot of fun, but what he forecasted ended up being a lot worse than what the doctors actually said. So it was a pretty brutal collision, literally in front of the C here at center field. And you can see that on the Friday Night Archive. Also on the Canada Footy News YouTube live feed. But that just showed the physicality of Friday night and how these teams really don't like each other. That one going to be lobbed ahead, looking for Sancha, number 11. And Calgary takes it away, but Vancouver maintains possession. So Sancha in for DeGraff today. First place versus second place in the league. 3-0 versus 2-1. We know Vancouver can score a lot of goals. They scored 5 in against the Portland Timbers last weekend on May the 17th. Calgary will travel to Portland next week, and we know the Timbers broadcasters will have that game for you. And we'll get you more details on the future schedule of both of these clubs. Only a 14-game season. And as I said, a Northwest Division opponent. 6 teams in the Northwest Division. 1 divisional winner automatically qualifies for the Sweet 16 in the USL 2, along with the other 2 division winners in the Western Conference. And then there is a wild card. Calgary won the division in 16 and 18, and we're just short of getting the wild card position in 17, so they did not qualify. But that super team in 18 certainly came back. Only had 1 loss in June 1st, 2018. That is the last time the Foothills FC have lost a game. They have drawn a few, but they have not lost since June 1st. Rovers have had their struggles in the Northwest Division the last couple of years. And Calgary, obviously, with 18 players, 21 roster players last year, 18 of them signed in the Canadian Premier League. 3 came back, Hayfield, Akiao, and Fakunle. And ironically, those 3 players were the goal scorers on Friday night. 5 great goals, all top quality. Encourage you to check out the highlights section of Canada Footy News for the look of all 5 of those goals and other great elements that occurred in the contest. That one going to go wide for Corey Bent, the right winger on this line. Trying to feed it out. Campanile out to Dan Pritchard. Pritchard had an amazing assist on the first goal to Willie Akiao on Friday night. That got us the opening goal in the 29th minute. And now the ball is finally on the opposite side of the field. Pritchard will look for Hayfield if he isn't handled by one of the Vancouver players, number 16, Connor McMillan. Keep an eye out for 19, Eli Guindo. He's the largest guy probably by 3 or 4 inches out there, and he's playing center back. So he's going to be a very tough man to have to work around to get to the goal. So essentially, 3 returners and 15 rookies. Well, not rookies, but because they have a couple of players that played for Foothills at this level in 17 and 16. But essentially a brand new roster, brand new coach, brand new attitude, and brand new focus. It's not about defending the title. It's not about matching what the super team did. It's about a new identity, a youthful identity, and a new tradition. Another corner kick here for the Rovers. About 11 minutes in, no score. Low bouncer, not what they wanted, but they'll get a second chance. Play fit in by David Malamura. Those 16-17 returning players I mentioned, Drake Rendell, 22, and Danny Harrison, number 23. Both are on the substitute list. Headed away, Campanile, well done for him. Vancouver maintains possession, though. Malamura trying to make a move. He got a goal against Portland. 16 versus 16. Winning that race, Connor McMillan for the boys in red. right up against the boundary lines. And Calgary trying to escape their own half.
Tremendous pressure by Rovers, just constantly doing exactly what Calgary did to them earlier on Friday. They're hunting in 2 or 3s, trying to get that ball back right away, and they've been pretty well successful right now. But again, it's been great back and forth action. Fantastic for the fans. Great for the USL 2 League.
Out to the back line. Midfielders trying to make something happen. Sancha. Out to the far side. Riley Pang, number 22. Down to Pritchard. I think this might be a tighter match. We may not see the 5 goals we saw on Friday night, Paul.
No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be interesting. Hard to say. It's going to, they played, this will be their second game in 2 days. Sure, the temperature and the heat on that field is starting to pick up, especially on a turf field. So we'll see how they do. Right now they look pretty fresh. They seem to be going at it pretty hard. But we'll see what happens as we get into the second half here.
WFC Women 3, Regina 0.
Well, as you heard, Foothills WFC, who have their home opener on June 2nd, we'll have that broadcast for you on the My Cujo link, and we'll let you know about that all week long. Already up 3-0 on Queen City United in Regina today, and we'll have a full recap of that game later on tonight on the foothillsfc.ca website and all social media outlets. So this could be perhaps a clean sweep for Calgary teams this weekend. Of course, the Rovers would love to be the spoilers. They were the spoilers on June 1st, 2018 with that win. But talking to players from Foothills this week, they said revenge is not in their minds. Last year was last year. It's over. And that's not our focus at all this time around. Trasolini in net. Smichenko, Gindo, Pang, and Haynes right to left on the back line. Sanga, Polisi, Baldissimo right to left in the midfield. McMillan, Lee Heitman, and Malamura right to left on the forward line. For Foothills FC, Ben Jackson in net. Pritchard, Ewan Bold, Yassine Chamoun, and Dan Kaiser right to left on the back line. Marcus Campanile, Dan Hayfield, Francisco Bardolillo right to left midfielders. Corey Bent, the right winger. Willie Akiao, the center, and Tofa Fakunle, the left winger on the forward line. Yes, I've done a couple of hockey games in my career. And this is Hayfield with a beautiful goal, and that'll be a field goal off the header from Campanile, but 3 points do not go up on the board. Have you ever seen Gaelic football from Ireland?
No, but I've seen hurling, and
which is kind of the same thing. Where if it goes through the uprights, it's 1 point, but if you beat the goalie, I think it's 3 points. That'd be a cool soccer element for like a fun all-star tournament or something. I think that'd be a really cool idea. And this would be the perfect venue. First, as I said, first and second in the Northwest Division. There is other Northwest Division action on this weekend, and other Canadian teams playing on this Sunday afternoon in the USL League 2. We'll have those details for you later on. Other interesting elements of the Foothills FC, they've got 6 Brits, 2 Scots, and 4 natives of England on the club. And one of them is number 6, Dan Hayfield, from Exeter, England. And he played for St. FX in U Sports last year. A few of his Cape Breton opponents are now his teammates, and that direct kick way out of town. And it'll be a goal kick for Trasolini. Trasolini didn't play badly on Friday night, Paul. Obviously, the one goal he didn't even bother moving because there was just no chance he was going to make the save. But took a couple off the line, made a great save on a follow-up at the 2-minute mark. Corey Bent right off the crossbar. But Trasolini had a pretty decent effort despite giving up the 3 goals.
No, he did. He is a very good goalie. Always looking to see where the next pass is going to go to before the ball gets to him, which is a good characteristic of a goalie. That way you don't get the pressure that you would if you just look down on the ball first and then look up. So again, he has good skill. Just that it was one of those nights where Foothills just pressured and attacked and did a great job in finishing.
And Ben Jackson decides to slow the action down after trying to speed it up a moment ago. They need to reorganize and reset their formation. 4-3-3 here with the two center backs very tight. As I said, Corey Bent, the right winger, gets stopped up a little bit, but nothing for him. 18 minutes gone here. A bit of a slower pace from Friday night, but hey, this is their second match in less than 48 hours. You'd almost expect that. We'll see if the physicality continues. Usually it just takes one spark to light a fire, but that spark has not occurred yet. Bent is offside despite him saying to the official that his team didn't have the ball. And offside is where the second ball, and the head referee agrees with him. And that second goal, Bent was offside. 10-20 seconds later, they changed the momentum and were able to score on the opposite side of the field, which was a tremendous result for them. Of course, they gave up the goal about 3 minutes later, but a 2-goal advantage may be a rarity going forward. So what are you seeing in the first 19-20 minutes here, Paul?
Well, there's definitely been a shift. You can see both teams came out to try and do that quick pace, hoping to get a quick early goal, put the other team on defense. But now that they've kind of come to realization that they both are kind of pretty even, the pace has definitely slowed down a bit. It's more control, possession soccer, which is what we would expect. They can't go that pace the entire game. I'm sure the heat will take effect fairly quickly if they kept that up. So, yeah, again, we're seeing a more controlled pace here.
Let's see what Tofa Fakunle can do. He'll get disrupted from behind. Well done by Malamura to keep that legal. And that ball will deflect off what will look like number 16, Francisco Bartolillo. Francesco, formerly of the Victoria Highlanders from last season. He plays at the University of Northern BC. Tofa Fakunle holding his head there for a moment. But the ball's down at the other end of the field.
I think they were appealing for a high kick there, but the ref thought that maybe Tofa was bending down a little bit, so therefore didn't give it.
Substitutes for Foothills today: goaltender Liam Collins, defenders Gordon Hall, Dan Harrison, and Blake Fenton, along with Ethan Keane. Midfielder Drake Rendell and forward Everett Ordinero. For the TSS Rovers, Patrick Hips is the second goaltender, along with Chris Guerrero, Nicholas Papa Koreapopoulos, Connor Glennon, Henry Kromack, Desmond Tachi, and Gurman Jat. We expect to see some of those players in this game, obviously based on what we saw on Friday night, and like you said, the weather conditions and the hydration of some of these players. Almost halfway through the half here, no score. As we saw last year, teams are allowed up to 6 substitutions, but of course, once you're out, just like in the pros, once you're out, you're out. U Sports, you can go back in. That was actually an interesting rule I learned last year covering the University of Calgary Dinos matches. There is a limited number of subs, but you can go back in.
It's one of the interesting things. You can see what TSS Rovers are doing right now to pressure Foothills a bit is they're moving their right fullback up. I think it's number 17,
Smichenko.
Smichenko.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Smichenko all night on Friday. He had some great defensive plays and created some elements offensively as well.
Yeah, and as you can see right now, they've gone to 3 defenders at the back, and they've pushed Shemenko up to press on that attack, and that's what's giving the extra pressure on Foothills. They haven't adapted yet to that pressure.
Well, last year you'd see defenders for the Foothills in the middle of a play, trying to push something inside the 18 or even inside the 6, and then you'd blink your eyes, and that player would be back on the back line during that period. So it's a formation that both teams are certainly used to and would be accommodating to. And as long as the defenders can get back, if they want to press up and then come back again, if they're comfortable with it, I imagine the coaches would be as well. Of course, next weekend as well is our women's premiere, and referee is instructing, looks like 15 or McMillan, Heitman, to keep his mouth shut. There were a couple of yellow cards based on talking too much on Friday. That not the same referee. He is not here today. He had a tough effort on Friday night. There's no question about that. But
yeah, one thing, just a quick comment here, just to switch that up a bit. It's actually Gurman Sanga they've been pushing up, not Shemenko. Just the numbers 11 and 17 are so close, so he's number 11.
Well, don't be surprised if Smichenko gets involved like he did yesterday. And
sure.
Again, they're really putting pressure on Ben Jackson to perform as quickly as possible, not letting him kind of lounge around like he has in the past, not in terms of killing clock, but just they want to give Ben as little time to organize the players in front of him as possible here today. In for Acquiao, trying to get around his man. He's surrounded by 3 more, and it will be a.
Looks like it's a goal kick.
It will be a goal kick. It went off Acquiao, but the feed into him, and then quickly surrounded by 3 Vancouver defenders. Yeah, it's not certainly as wide open as it was on Friday. And, can Vancouver keep up this defensive pace for 90 minutes? That'll be the real question.
Yeah, they've changed their strategy a lot. On Friday, they were they were sort of challenging one-on-one. Today, there's a definite, almost a one. If Foothills has the ball, they're trying to get 1 and 2 players, maybe even 3 players in to try and recover that ball quickly. As you can see right now, there's 2 of them attacking the 1 player at Foothills. So that's I think their strategy's changed a little bit where that's what's adding the extra pressure on Foothills.
We'll see how the Foothills players adjust to what they've seen. You'll probably be able to hear both coaches, despite them being on the opposite sides of the field, being very loud like they were on Friday. Leon Hapgood likes to tell his players what he wants. And even within the structure of the playoff system, with only 14 games in the regular season, as I said, this is first and second. Everybody hasn't played everybody yet, so we'll get a better sense in the next week or 2. But this is a very important game for who's going to be playing in July and possibly August. This result could make a big difference. Even a draw would cost one team the chance at 2 extra points towards winning their division. Player to watch today, Willie Acquiao. Number 9, a menacing threat to those who have to defend him. Coming into his 3rd year with Foothills, he's put in a significant amount of time and dedication to move forward in his football career, and it has not gone unnoticed. His coach has been very impressed with his contributions so far. Number 9, and you'll be able to notice him by his blondish haircut and the fact that he always has a nose for the net.
Yeah, it's going to be the game is definitely, they're not giving each other any space at all to do whatever they need to do. It's going to be a very interesting game. I think it's going to be a lot tighter than it was last game.
Of course, USL 2, the former Premier Development League, after the change in structure of the United Soccer Leagues, the Championship, League 1 and League 2, everybody renaming themselves this year. Not a really Division 4 specific designation, but obviously the U23 development system that it's always been. Getting pulled down from behind was police here. At least he tried to sell it like that. Right at the 35-yard line. 72 teams, 4 conferences, 16 teams make the playoffs.
And each team here has a 14-match schedule, so again, it's a good schedule. They're going to be busy all season. A very narrow schedule too. They're pretty well done in the end of July, so a lot of games crammed into just a couple months here.
Well, it's similar to college baseball, where a lot of players play these minor division summer leagues, and then immediately go right back to school. Both men and women. The lob ahead. Right there, and it's up and it's in! Wait, hold on.
It's an offside flag.
The flag was up. Ellie Guindo, number 19, got a little anxious there, Paul, but that was brilliantly executed, except for one little thing.
It was a great play, yes. Fantastic header there by Guindo. He's again, that height really helps him on that attack on the corners. Unfortunately, somebody was offside, so it doesn't count.
As I said, 16 teams make the playoffs, and Calgary got all the way to the championship game last year and won it in Reading, Pennsylvania. We hosted the national semifinal here against Chicago United, 1-0 win in front of 1,200 fans. Last year it was tremendous effort. Talking about efforts!
Oh, nice play.
Bent looking for Fakunle. Looked like the defender, Guindo, got a piece of it. What do you do when you're dealing with a giant like him?
It's tough. It makes a big difference having a big center back like that. And not only is he tall, he's also very, very quick. And very strong. So really a presence for TSS Rovers.
Fakunle, there he is again. And Fakunle will receive the volley rather than letting it go out of bounds. He'll beat his first man, crowding it across again, trying to clear it away. Good effort there from Haynes to try to get a piece of it. But it worked out in their favor. Looking for an outlet. Campanile from Fakunle, surrounded by 4 red jerseys. Back out to Pritchard. He'll feed it in. And they'll feed it out. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Our match and our team is sponsored by Petrotrans, TELUS, Secure Energy Services, and Rogers Insurance. Right-footed effort cleared away only for the moment. And This is really Foothills' first sustained pressure of the game, but that doesn't last long. Bent trying to keep it in. Number 7 in white. But Vancouver changes it back right in front of the 4th official's tent.
Again, TSS Rovers not giving Foothills an inch. Just really tight on them, not giving them any space at all to execute, set up their nice play. Oh,
okay, here's Tofa 1-on-2. Trying to feed Akiao. That got knocked away. Well done by Smichenko on his off wing here. Running the left side. Sprinting down. And that ball is going to go in favor of...
looks like a Foothills free kick.
Foothills free kick from the main official. Said you can hear Coach Hapgood from up here. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. This team's been together for 4 weeks. April 15th was the opening day of training camp. The Foothills Fieldhouse indoor facility. At the 33-minute mark here. Having some fun on a Sunday afternoon. Going down is Malamura. And looks like the referee wants to talk to Danny Kaiser. As I said, we saw a few yellow cards on Friday night. Vancouver would like to break this streak. Calgary leads the all-time series 7-3 between these two teams. It's a brand new roster for Foothills, but what they anticipate talking to them this week, Paul, is that this group has the potential, outside of maybe a couple of the guys like Akiao and Fakunle, to be together for 3 or 4 years, which is exactly what the Rovers Academy stresses. And if they can have success as a first-year team, the possibilities are endless for the next 3 to 4 seasons.
Oh yeah, Foothills has a tremendous group of players, and they have a tremendous feeding system that brings a lot of great players into the team.
Free kick indirect. Jackson with a big jump, and he corrals that ball. He is that 6'4", 200-pounder. 1997 born. Of course, under 23 is the rule in this league. You can have up to 8 overagers. You don't have to, but you can. Calgary certainly did last year. They met the correct requirements, but they're nowhere close to it this year. It's definitely under 8. It's definitely under 23, and actually for 3 or 4 players, it's a headbutt. They're looking to the side official here as that was not very smart by Matteo Polisi. Behind the main referee's back, everybody in white and green looking to the side official here on the near side to make sure that he saw what they saw. A bit of discussion here, but that was a really silly thing for Polisi to do. The ball on the spot here. What did you see, Paul?
I'm still trying to figure out what the ref's calling here, because it's in the 18-yard box, so I don't understand why it's a free kick in the 18-yard box.
Polisi scored on a penalty kick on Friday night. Hit your rewind button. That's the best thing about YouTube Live. You can watch that play over and over again. We got about a 9-man box here for Foothills. Actually, it's all 11 players. It's going to be a free kick. It's not a penalty, but it's right in where the spot is marked on the field turf. Polisi!
Great
block.
block.
Blocked by the first man. Quick sprint for it looked like Campanile, and he'll be the man on the outlet if they can get it to him.
And that was Campanile who made that great block.
Bit of a drop pass for Vancouver, but
FC yellow card to number 8, Marcus Campanile.
Marcus had a yellow card Friday as well. 35th minute mark. Campanile yellow card. But yeah, that whole sequence was very confusing there. We could see Polisi throwing his head forward during the discussion of what the referee was dealing with Campanile about. But as you said, he kind of makes up for it with that great block in front. But it looked like that ball was going to hit somebody if it didn't hit the first man that came out for it.
Yeah, and the Foothills were trying to get the ref to go over and talk to the sideline official who actually saw the play. However, he chose not to. So interesting.
Lob ahead, looking for Lee Heitinen. No luck for him. Really good crowd here is formed here at Hellard Field. If you're in the Calgary area, we've got 4 more men's home games in 2019. The flag is up, and now it's in favor of Vancouver. Foothills will play 6 home games and 8 away games this season. And then next year it'll flip. It'll all be double headers on Fridays at 7 and Sundays at 2.
Right now the refs are over talking to the coach at TSS Rovers. Not sure what that's about. I guess he had a specific question. Oh,
Mr.
the TSS Rovers being ejected.
Mr. Will Cromack, the man putting back on his gray hoodie, and he is being ejected, so probably no post-game interview for me tonight, which is fine because they have to go straight to the airport right after the match, but I don't imagine Mr. Cromack is going to be in much mood for discussion after whatever the heck this has been. As well, the man in the crutches is Eric DeGraff. He may be being ejected here as well.
Yeah, it looks like he is.
Wow.
As I said, this is going to be a heated game today, and they're showing it that it is going to be.
And
one.
not just on the thermometer scale. Holy cow! Well, the Campanile yellow, the follow-up, and now whatever the heck this is on the opposite side of the field, we're right beside the camera, so we're seeing what you're seeing here, folks. And for Mr. Cromack and Mr. DeGraff to be ejected here in the 39th minute mark is quite unprecedented here. Obviously, there was no response to the Polisi issue, but let's see what Corey Bent can do. Feeding it in, and yeah, Acquiao offside. Everybody in the building knew that.
That was actually Tofa.
You're right, it was Tofa. He's going to give me heck for that after.
Well, it's going to be a heck of a game. It's been 39 minutes plus, but I tell you, it's going to get even more heated here as the temperature rises as well as the players' emotions rise.
Well, I mean, that could, as once the camera goes back to the opposite side of the field, you'll literally see Eric DeGraff working his way on crutches out of the stadium area right now, along with his head coach. But yeah, this has been quite unusual. You're a coach. You ever been kicked out of a game?
No, I've asked questions of refs and got close, but not. Thankfully, not. I haven't had that pleasure.
Cromack and
TSS
DeGraff
Rover
ejected.
ejections. Eric DeGraff and Coach Will Cromack.
And as soon as he was informed by the referee, the crowd went quite crazy about that. Well, that changes everything here. It's still 11 versus 11. That's the most important thing. We we've seen 10 versus 10 and 10 versus 9 sometimes on our broadcasts in 2018. Of course, that was with the team that's now the Cavalry. So,
Well, it looks like Leon has taken some a good stance on that. He's sitting on the bench now just to make sure he doesn't get
on the far side of the bench, he told me after the game Friday he doesn't talk about referees. There's a quick shot, and Ben Jackson rolls the ball away, trying to get out of trouble as soon as possible. Up to the midfielders, Bartolillo, and now to the far end of the field. Jordan Haynes, number 3, former Foothills player in 2018, part of that championship team that won the title at Reading United. Just before halftime here, about 43 minutes gone. No score in the match. Streaking down the right side, Gurman Sanga. Looking ahead to Melamur on his off wing, and nicely cleared away by the center backs. Ewan Bowl looked like number 4 got a piece of that one. So is it both teams just kind of reacting right now, or because there's no real momentum or pressure at this point? It's been a bit stunted since that coach ejection.
Yeah, you can see right now Foothills is trying to regain control by just passing around, trying to keep possession, get recentered. Looks like, and then you get things like this happening.
Trip from behind.
There, Leon Hapgood's calming everybody down, telling his players just to keep it quiet, just keep it low.
Well, they played an exhibition game against the Cavalry, the Cavs' last exhibition game and the Foothills' first exhibition game, and they came out with a 1-0 loss, but had some offensive pressure, and Leon, wasn't disappointed, but would have very much liked to get that win again. Of course, the Cavalry haven't lost to anybody, so there's really nothing to feel shame about, but yeah, that was their first match at Spruce Meadows, and basically, for those of you who aren't aware, there is no official affiliation with the team, with the two teams. We'll explain that in a moment. Hayfield over everyone's heads, looking far side, nice header. Lee Heitman clears that away. However, it's going to set up a corner kick here on the near left side. Tofa Fakunle to feed it in. Foothills
TSS yellow goes to number 10, Matteo Polisi. There will be 2 minutes extra time.
Polisi gets his yellow card, and 2 minutes of extra time will be added to the main clock.
Foothills attacking again.
That corner kick very easily handled. And now we're into the 2 minutes of extra time. As now it's Haynes. He was down 3 or 4 times last week, needing the medical attendants to see to him. And now it'll happen again. Actually, the Foothills medical staff will come out to check on Jordan. So we have Campanile with a yellow and Polisi with a yellow card.
And the interesting thing, like we were talking about earlier, was there's so much depth on this Foothills team, and we were mentioning earlier that a lot of players here have a lot of years ahead of them on this team, so they can build a really good club. But what a lot of people don't realize is, even on this team, there are 4 16 and 17-year-old players on this team in the USL 2 League, which has an average age of 21 years old, and those would be the backup goalkeeper Liam Collins. He's 17-year-old, playing again with 23-year-olds and 21 to 23-year-olds. We also have Arvin Peppel, who unfortunately is injured right now, but a very promising forward. He's only 16, so it just goes to show the depth they have here. We have Caden Rojodzinsky, who's a center back, and Ethan Keane, a left back. So again, young players still on the bench, but again, getting great experience being part of this team.
Caden and Ethan still eligible to play in the U20 and U17 programs, so there is some flexibility as to the rules as to where those players can play, but they do train with the 23s every morning at the Foothills Fieldhouse.
Yeah, and the good thing is too, Foothills has a very good plan for these players, even though they don't get a lot of game time right now with the USL 2 team, the under 23s. They're actually, when, for example, next weekend when they go to Portland, the under 17, their Gen program of the Foothills will actually be playing the Portland Timbers under 17. So they will actually be playing in those games to get great game experience.
And we'll have all the details on that on Foothills social media and website later this week. The ball goes across, but there were 5 red jerseys along the 6-yard borderline, so there was no one to connect it with.
It was
but not a bad idea.
Fantastic pass by Danny Pritchard. Exactly, fast, hard, through the crease. Unfortunately, there were no Foothills to connect on it.
And that is halftime. No score through 45 minutes.
Your halftime stats. TSS Rovers 0, FC Foothills 0.
And
35-minute yellow card to number 8, Marcus Campanelli. 3 minutes later, 38th minute, TSS Rovers ejections to coach Will Cromack and number 4, Eric DeGraff. 43rd minute, yellow to TSS Rover Matteo Polisi. We'd like to take an opportunity to say thank you to all our sponsors. Rogers Insurance, one of Canada's largest independent brokerages, offering cost-effective business, commercial, and personal insurance. Petrotrans, providing innovative solutions for the energy industry. TELUS, for all your communication needs. Secure Energy, the leader in customer-focused solutions for the energy industry. Field Safe Solutions, made by the field, for the field. Field Safe Solutions help drive safety culture for field workers by providing easy-to-use solutions that provide real-time information. Just a quick update from Regina.
20 minutes.
Back, folks. We are ready to rock and roll with the second half of today's game. We'll get some halftime stats and halftime substitutions if there are any subs to announce. But Paul, a slower pace, a different game from last Friday night. But those last 10 minutes certainly very memorable. What's your thought on the first 45?
Well, first 45, again, it started off really fast. Both teams pressuring. I think for the first 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, TSS Rovers really took it to Foothills. They probably had a slight edge in those first 15 up the right side and putting a lot of pressure on the Foothills defense, creating lots of opportunities. But again, like you saw, it slowed down a bit, and then all of a sudden we had a free kick awarded right near the penalty spot, which was an interesting call. And even within that, there was a possible headbutt, but unfortunately the official never saw it. And then 2 minutes later,
here we go, second half.
your coach Will Cromack gets ejected from the game, along with Eric DeGraff. So it's a lot tighter back and forth game, both teams, and Rovers are with a bit more pressure. And as you saw, Willie Akio is being really tightly marked. They're not letting him go very much. So as soon as he gets the ball, there's a Rover on him right away.
Do you think they gave up too much freedom to those Foothills forwards on Friday?
I think, yeah, possibly a little bit. Maybe just, not aware of what their abilities were, but now they sure know their abilities, and right away, they're attacking right away on Foothills.
Wasting no time like they did in the first half. McMillan, that one across from Haynes, the left back, pushing up, as you talked about, those wing backs sprinting up and down, and Haynes will be expected to get back to where he is, and he'll deal with his former teammate Willie Akio here on the near side. Foothills white with green stripes going left to right on your screen. Vancouver in the red with the white numerals and the black shorts going right to left.
Second half out of the game, number 16, Francesco Bartolillo. Into the game, number 22, Drake Rendell.
So as you can see, Rovers wasting no time, doing the same strategy, but switching it onto the left side now with Haynes coming in, adding extra pressure. As you saw, great burst of pressure on Foothills there. They dealt with it. And they've now brought in Drake Rendell, who is a defensive midfielder. So he's probably in there to control the midfield and put a bit more pressure on the Rovers. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Oh!
Yeah, that is our only substitution of the 45-minute mark. Drake Rendell, left midfield. We'll see if he takes that position specifically from Bartolillo or if it gets rotated around. Tell me what happened there.
Yeah, again, a push just across, coming across. One of the Foothills players being charged with a push, so Rovers get the ball back.
Rovers going right to left. The wind swirling far to near here. Not too much on the corner flags as we resume. Referee gets knocked down. Unfortunately, Connor McMillan had a collision. One of my Twitter headlines today, Netherlands referee scores goal, allows it to count.
I actually saw that on Twitter today, and it was amazing.
Yeah, who knows why, but yeah, so that's an interesting article to look up after this game's over. Trying to make something happen for Foothills FC. Danny Kaiser, 15. And again, those forwards, Akio, Fakunle, and Bent, surrounded by 2-3 jerseys as soon as they get the ball. And we'll go the other way. Baldissimo, who's been pretty quiet compared to Friday. And they've obviously handled what Smichenko offered on Friday night as well. Rovers player goes down. inside to Haynes. He'd love to get some revenge on his teammates, not from a malicious point of view, but just to say that he got the win in Calgary. The Foothills FC have not lost since July of 2015 at home. Match against Seattle. So, super team, CPL or otherwise, this team is undefeated at home, playoffs and regular season in almost 4 years. They've drawn a few, but they have not lost.
Danny Kaiser in there, a little tough, a little hard, gets a yellow for that. Rovers with a free kick.
Rovers started with 2 at home. Three at home, excuse me. The win against Lane United, the win against Portland Timbers, and the loss against Foothills FC on May 9th, May 12th, 17th, and 19th.
It's an in-swinger coming in, clear away by Foothills.
Vancouver's next home game, June the 7th against the Victoria Highlanders, a great rivalry there in BC. June 7th at Swangard Stadium. We encourage all Vancouver fans to make their plans now to be at Swangard for that matchup, as well as tune in on AFTN Canada, the Swangard's broadcast crew, and the Swan Guardians very vocal group as well. Check out AFTN Canada for all your TSS Rovers home games, live or archives. And we thank them for their help for our promotional material this past week. Inside ship, Corey Bent dealing with, looked like Smichenko there. When you got a 6-inch or 7-inch height disadvantage, there's not much you can do about it on a play like that. Corey Bent, 5'6", 156, 97 birthday, from Preston, England, and again another former Victoria Highlander player.
Again, there we see number 3 pushing up, trying to add a little bit of pressure on that wing. Oh, didn't make the run. Miscommunication. Again, you can see Rovers have switched to a 3-4-3 system to try and put a bit more pressure in the half. They're pushing Haynes up quite a bit on the attack.
Jackson taking his time, which takes everybody back about 30 yards. McMillan, Lee Heitinen, and Malamura still the forward line for the Rovers. Big battle in the middle. And Calgary, Corey Bent gets knocked down. I was going to say won the possession, but has now been awarded the possession. Far side out of bounds, Calgary ball.
Again, Rovers not giving Foothills any time to settle at all. Always right in front of them.
Looking at all the flags, there is officially 0 wind, which for Calgary is extremely rare. We've got a nice breeze up here in the scorer's box.
Again, as you can see, as the temperature's rising on the field, so are the emotions. We're starting to get a few more hits, late hits coming in from the Rovers against Foothills.
This time it's Fakunle going down. Last year and this year, the Foothills players not afraid to tell the referees what they think.
And Gindo there taking charge for the Rovers in the middle. He's on Pritchard right now.
Lob in. And handled by Trasolini, who's had a much simpler day today. He goes down. That was the strange thing on Friday night. The whistle would blow and players from both teams would be arguing with the referees.
He's got to watch it. I think that's Camilla, isn't it? Campanile, sorry. And I think he's
Campanile
on the yellow card.
already with the yellow on his record, along with Polisi, Matteo. His brother not in the lineup today. Matteo, part of the USL 100 players to watch list on the USL League 2 website. Former Vancouver residency player. Malamura. And the Rovers is a perfect outlet for the Whitecaps residency program. For their youth development. That one
There's
across
Haynes in
on
the
the
back
goal line. Jackson
Great grab.
mishandles and lands on the soft field turf. And as I said, wastes no time to get it here out on the near side to halfway. What were we going to mention there, Paul?
Oh, just again, Haynes ever present right behind him. Had he had missed that, Haynes would have definitely tried to put that in. So again, they're using Haynes effectively on that outside just to put that extra pressure and be open.
Haynes dealing with Pritchard. McMillan getting in there, sending the ball to the far end.
You can see how Haynes is staying open on that back post. He's looking for that cross across.
Pritchard's got to make sure that he doesn't forget that Haynes is there. I remember Foothills scoring a couple of goals that way last year. The player on the far side just forgotten about and bearing it behind everyone's backs.
And that's something I think if Foothills can adjust to that, they can then, if Haynes does vacate that space at the back, they could take advantage of that very easily and pressure that right side or the left side of Rovers.
Offside. Facunle doesn't like the call, but the flag is up. Trasolini and Jackson not having to make any super saves so far. The one ball did beat Jackson, but that was called on the offside against the header from Guindo. Haven't had a lot of scoreless draws in the history of Foothills FC, but we're at 56 minutes to this point with no scores on the board. Near side to Pritchard.
Oh,
Tried to get around Bent, and Pang handled him very well, but not on the second sequence.
Rovers
and
on
wasting
break.
no time, streaking in on the near left side of your picture, Connor McMillan, having to deal with Hayfield, possibly off the arm. Ref says no. And Hayfield sends it up, trying to escape the pressure, but it's still on the Foothills half of that 55-yard line.
Corey Bent taking a beating today. I think Rovers have caught on to how quick and how fast and how effective he can be, and they're really kind of giving him a bit of a pounding today.
As I said, 5'6", 156. Sometimes you got to go around guys because you can't go through them. Not as much pressure on either set of center backs this afternoon. But let's see what Bent. Oh, he had Acquiao. Acquiao shows his frustration. But he's going to have to sprint back to help his teammates here. Jordan Haynes. Out
Again,
to Polisi.
A great move by Guindo to stick. You know, he's got a long reach with his feet, and he was just able to stick a toe out there and stop that pass.
Acquiao only 5'10" himself. Tofa's 5'4". He's the shortest of the three. And there's a collision. And some extracurricular. Pang with Pritchard. And I've liked Pritchard's game today. He's been very useful.
Yeah, Danny Pritchard gives you 110%.
Inside over. And Guindo had to be careful he didn't head it into his own net. But Mr. Pritchard, Paul.
Yeah, he's a guy you love to watch. He gives you 110%, as you saw in those tackles. He doesn't back out. He goes full in. You know, you can see he's got a little. You know, he felt that a bit, but you know he's back on his feet and ready to play. It's like a corner kick now to Calgary.
Corner for Facunle. Basically the last cut to the Cavs. CPL rules, August 1st, you can sign anyone you want. That's the next player free, let's just call it free agency window opening. And except for the USL 2 championship game, the season will be completed. So look for a lot of things to happen. With the left foot trying to work it around, but nicely cut off. Sanga got in there in the middle of that. Excuse me, Spichenko. You're right. 17 and 11 are hard to read.
It is.
That'll mean a quarter kick on the far right side of your picture. And again, Tofa to bring it in.
Again, the presence of Gindo.
The play in, up and down, 2 touches. Well done for Pang to head that one up and then cleared away to about waist height. McMillan looking for a call he's not going to get. He grabbed my jersey. Well,
I think the ref's just saying play on. You got the call.
That's all he's going to say. As we've hit the hour mark officially here. Still no score. And these players, I like to say, you can sleep on the bus or on the plane, but.
And again, as we can see, Haynes wide open there. Pritchard's keeping an eye on him, but again, looking for the opportunity if a cross were to come across.
There are games that you can tell that both teams are playing for a 0-0 draw. This is not one of them. Vancouver does not want to have 0 wins against Foothills FC because they'll pretty much have to go undefeated the rest of the year to even get a shot at the wild card. Acquiao. A little too slow for Campanile. Well read by Jordan Haynes.
So again, Jordan Haynes making his run up the wing.
Excuse me, Haynes with the ball now. The play made by Polisi. He's got 5 goals this year. Outside, just along the border, on the far touchline. It's the yellow lines. Nice give and go. Can he cut it off? No, he can't. And that'll be a goal kick for Ben Jackson. I like those give and goes in the offensive third. They can be very effective.
As you see, again, Rovers pushing their outside backs up. That was Sanga going up out the outside. And again, looking for Haynes on that far post. You can see there's obviously a strategy by Rovers, hoping that Pritchard will be off his guard and give Haynes the chance to score a goal here. So again, just keep an eye on that. You'll see that happening over and over again. It seems to be a theme for the Rovers.
What would you say the theme for the Foothills has been so far?
I think Foothills right now they've been pressured really well by the Rovers, and I think it's thrown them off their game slightly. They're still looking to feed Willie Accio and Corey Bent, but again, the Rovers are marking them very tightly and not giving them any room at all to maneuver.
Perhaps more of a push from the midfield would perhaps increase the capabilities of Foothills' offense.
Yeah, right now, and you can see that's what Rovers have done. They're pushing Haynes, their left fullback, up to try and add that extra pressure, which, you know, now you have a 4v3 versus, or 5v4 actually, versus 4v4 up front. So that's what's happening, and you can see the difference in the game where there's much more pressure by the Rovers. But don't count Leon Hapgood out. He always has a tactic, so I'm sure he'll bring another tactic in here very shortly.
Yeah, you always see those around the office. You always see those.
TSS Rovers substitution. Out of the game, number 3, Jordan Haynes. Entering the game, number 18, Christopher Guerrero.
Guerrero started on Friday. He draws back in now.
Also exiting the game, Garmin Sangha, number 11. Entering the game, number 20, Connor Glennon.
And Glennon in for Sangha.
And the third change, Kristen Lee Heitman, number 25 out, and in Garmin Raj.
And Mr. Raj, number 13.
Oh, off the post. Scrambling the net. Foothills clear it. Rovers possession again, still attacking.
Off the goalpost. That's the closest either team's come in this half.
Crossbar.
Excuse me, yes. A couple of crossbars now on this field in the last 48 hours. Trying to make something happen, Mr. Polisi. Trying to duck and dive through 3 white shirts. No luck for him.
Well, Rovers are definitely not sitting around. They want to get a goal as fast as possible to try and even up this road trip.
Glennon in for Sangha. Raj in for Lee Heitman. And Guerrero in for Haynes. 65 minutes into the matchup. No score.
And there comes Drake Rendell on right now in the middle. Easily to spot. He has that ponytail on the back of his head there, red here. Good pressure midfielder.
And now Rendell officially comes in for Bartolillo. The coach knew that was what he was going to decide at halftime, but waited until the 65-minute mark to actually make the change. Once again, 2-3 jerseys surrounding all the forwards, and here you see it again with Corey Bent. Not a lot of open space here for Foothills today. And is the height disadvantage for these forwards really coming into play between themselves and the defenders of the TSS Rovers?
I wouldn't say height disadvantage, probably reach. As you can see, some of these defenders have pretty long legs. They have maybe for every 2 steps of Mr.
Fakunle or Bent.
Or
As
Bent.
Fakunle's going to put it up and out.
Yeah, so Corey Bent, for every 2 steps he takes, one of their defenders from TS Rovers just has to take 1. So, but again, if they keep it on the ground, that's where they're most effective. Corey is very, very effective on the ground. In the air, I think Rovers have an advantage, so it'd be good for Foothills just to keep it on the ground, play it through, and make the best of the opportunities.
As I was saying before all the substitutions occurred, Coach Hapgood's got a lot of those magnetic coaching boards and moving all those pieces around to
Oh, Danny Kaiser's
do a
down. Looks like
strategy
he
here.
hit the floor pretty badly, pretty hard. He's walking it off right now, but he's holding. Looks like he's holding his elbow or something. His arm. You can see he's holding his right arm, his
Yeah.
shoulder. So I don't know if he's got a slight dislocate or just a hard hit.
Yeah, Mr. Kaiser.
He's literally, that's hanging. That arm of his is not bent. He's trying to work it off. He's back in it again. Very tough. Nice tackle.
Yeah, keep him in mind. 15 whites on the far left side of your picture. But here on the near left side, Guerrero, one of the subs in. Feeding it out. It'll be up to you and Bold to try to clear it. And it is a goal kick for Ben Jackson.
As you can see, Rendell working hard there in the middle, trying to put pressure on the Rovers to give it up. Rovers handle it quite well. Doing some nice passing in the middle there, keeping control of the ball.
Going across, trying to clear it away. Nicely done for Campanile, number 8. Let's go in the other direction. Another slant pass. Doesn't find a partner.
One of the players I find there in Foothills in their defense, Tashmoon has been playing very, very well at that center back position today. He's been a big difference in there, clearing the ball, making sure it's there's no danger in front of Jackson.
Yassine Shamoun.
There you go. There's Rendell. There's the pass. Oh, a great pass there.
Corey Bent, can he get the finish? Cutting across.
Oh!
Left footer doesn't work for Tofa Fakunle. Everybody in the stadium could pretty much read that was the plan for Bent, as the two defenders had Aki out. But a great idea, and he did get a foot on it, but just not the angle.
And again, you see the importance of Drake Rendell. That was a fantastic pass through the defense. Just perfectly timed pass for the Foothills players.
Drake Rendell played for Macclesfield Town in England in 2018, but was a member of this roster in 16 and 17. Part of that team that went to the USL League 2/PDL championship match in 2016 that they did not win. But 2 years later, they won. Canadian teams have been in the last 3 USL League 2 championship matches. And if Foothills' record is good enough, we might be back here at Hellard Field in August for another one. But that's a long way away. It's 16 teams make the playoffs, and Foothills did a very good job last year on the road in Los Angeles to win their round of 16 and round of 8 matches before they were able to come back here to Calgary to host that national semifinal.
And as you can see, just a little bit earlier there, Willie Akito trying to get away, but again, number 19, Eli Guindo, really keeping a tight check on him.
6'3" versus 5'3", and Akiao's offside again. Here on Memorial Day in the U.S., we had our long weekend last weekend in the snow, and they have their long weekend here this weekend. 71 minutes into the game. This all-Canadian rivalry, 5 Canadian teams in the United Soccer League 2 level. Obviously, these 2 clubs, the Victoria Highlanders, the Thunder Bay Chill, and the team from Winnipeg as well. So 5 out of 72 north of the border. Campanile out to Pritchard. Again,
Oh!
that might be the break that Foothills needs to get something fresh set up. Again, Bent is being bent in every direction so far. He'll see ice bath tonight with the beer in his hand.
That should have been a card, because number 22 there, Riley Pang, didn't really go after the ball at all. He literally just took him right out.
Well, Coach Hapgood talked to me last week about how beat up they were after the Seattle-Vancouver games Friday and Sunday of last weekend, and battered and bruised, and they would need a couple of days just to get back to playing shape. And I have no doubt that everybody's going to be sleeping in tomorrow for sure. Cutting it through. Nice idea. Too bad it couldn't get paid off for Chamoun, but a great play to the fullback, who now has to sprint back to his position. Fakunle looking for someone that probably Vancouver wasn't expecting him to be feeding it to.
I think Corey Bent at the end of the game here is going to really enjoy a nice ice bath.
73 minutes gone. That one tried to be promoted by the taller Gurman Raj, another giant out there. Boy, these guys are all huge for Vancouver TSS Rovers in 2019. That cut across, what a great cutoff by Pritchard. And he's got Bold there to help him out. Drake Rendell, you mentioned how important he is in that midfield position. Just a 97 birthday, so he's got some great years ahead of him.
And again, you see
So
Rendell pressuring the goalie to give up the
Accio
ball.
trying to create something out of nothing here at the midfield line. What a move! What a sequence! And Tressolini with the hardest save he's had to make in about the last 28 minutes. What a run by Accio, running past the guys like they were standing still and then creating a chance at the end. Wasting no time. Guerrero on the opposite side. But again, the center backs do their job.
And there's a card. Number 19, Gindo.
You read that perfectly. It's like you could see the referee going for his pocket there. Yellow card to Gindo for sure. That seemed like lesser of a play than what Pang did to Bent here about 3 minutes ago.
Exactly.
But maybe that's for
But as you saw, the difference in
an
height.
accumulation for Gindo for that match. You were saying?
As you saw, the difference in height and weight between Bent and Gindo, that's
Honestly, I think both teams are going to be very happy to be done with this opponent for the rest of the year. And there's one for Guerrero.
I think this is going to be a hallmark game, the amount of cards that are coming out.
Oh.
How many yellows do we have right now so far?
That's
quite a few.
at least 5 or 6. We had 2 in the first half. 2 just now.
And unfortunately, that's Danny Pritchard, who's been having a fantastic game today. He's the one who's down right now. They really can't afford to lose him.
Yellows to Guerrero and Gindo. Mr. Pritchard from
TSS yellow cards to number 19, Ellie Gindo, and number 18, Chris Guerrero.
as both teams will go get some water and some advice from their respective coaching staffs on the opposite side of the field. Danny Pritchard, a right back from Nuneaton, England, and played for the Cape Breton Capers of AUS in U Sports. And I did, like I said, I did the Dinos men's and women's last year, and I was very impressed with the level of quality of Canada West and U Sports soccer that we saw last fall.
Oh, it's a tremendous. I mean, some of these players here, for example, Danny Kaiser, he plays for UBC. He won Rookie of the Year last year. So again, lots going on, lots of great talent. The beauty of this league, USL 2, is that now, even though you're on a sort of semi-professional league, you still get to play university level soccer, which is great. Keeps you eligible, keeps you in high level soccer all year long, which is fantastic for these players' development.
4 Cape Breton Capers on the team: Jackson, Pritchard, Campanile, and Bold. And that's those guys are a big reason why they advanced to the Canada West Championship 8 in Vancouver last year. And that's where they all got to meet Coach Leon Hapgood, and the rest is history. Deciding to go far side, header by Rendell. Brought down well by Accio, trying to spin around Polisi.
It's Tofa. There's Tofa.
Excuse me, around Connor Glennon, number 20. In that right midfield position. Bent the right winger, Tofa the left winger, and Accio the center. We haven't seen a lot of rotation like we would have with the roster that Tommy Wilden had last year.
Leaving the game, number 9, David Malamura. Entering the game, number 6, Henry Cromack.
Henry Cromack comes in for Malamura. down, and
No
that extra
competition.
12 inches for Gindo certainly made the difference here. Let's see what Pritchard can do. Oh, not a bad strike.
Not a bad strike. He was trying to curl it around. Unfortunately, he didn't get it. Went straight through the uprights. 3 points.
Exactly, just over the crossbar. And we're back to center field. Vancouver has made 4 changes. Calgary has made 1 change. 79 minutes in the 85th minute, thanks to Dan Hayfield. They would love to do that again here tonight.
Great ball.
On a bit of a spin, crossing through, and Acquiao about half a step too late. That could have been a burial right into the back. But about a stride too late for that cross. We're having fun on a Sunday afternoon. Game 2 of this weekend series between these two clubs, and Game 2 of the home season for Foothills FC. If you're in the Calgary area, we'd love to see you for our 4 other men's home games and our 4 women's home games, including June 2nd, Sunday at 2 p.m. at our Foothills Fieldhouse outdoor field. Really looking forward to the women getting ready to defend their Western Conference Championship at home in what's being called the Group of Death. Santa Clarita, the LA Galaxy, the Colorado Pride, and the Queen City United. It's going to be a very tough division. And Calgary off to a great start with that 4-0 advantage over Queen City, and they'll play Queen City again in that opening game next Sunday. That all-Canadian rivalry, just like we have one here. And there's a great play up. Pritchard again. How about Bent? Left foot, right foot again. And not a bad idea. Trasolini was ready, but Bent showing his versatility there.
Yeah, this is an amazing game. You can see both teams now trying to go for the win. They don't want to have a tie, so the pressure on both teams are doing really well here. Foothills with the pressure right now with a corner kick. Tofa is putting it in. Goes to Bent. Corey Bent again. Crosses it over. Oh, headed away.
Anytime I'm sick, Paul, you can definitely jump in. That was excellent. Maybe I'll take that vacation after all. Well, you know what?
Such a great game. 2 teams battling.
Tofa getting ready. Watch for the movement. Here it comes. And that one didn't really find a match in white and green. Pritchard frustrated. Wanted that to work smarter. They'll watch the video, hopefully on mute, and check that out for next week for sure. Try to make an improvement. Talk about an improvement. Gurman Raj wasting no time, but surrounded by white jerseys. The play has been a lot on the wings. It hasn't really been, let's say, using a football term, between the numbers. There's been a lot of stuff outside these hash marks that you normally don't see as much. And right in the center circle, sprinting through, TSS wants to go home with a win. Connor McMillan, the only starting forward still in the lineup. He'll go out to Glennon, along with Guerrero, who's been very busy since he subbed in. Pang, and we have a whistle in the mid part of the field. But as I said, not a lot between the hash marks, Paul.
No, not a lot, and you can see they're trying to come down the wings, trying a different tactic. But you can just see guys like Corey Bent almost out of gas. They're just giving everything they have now.
Their sponsors for their generous contributions.
And unfortunately, this would be
pathway to pro success. Rogers Insurance, one of Canada's largest independent brokerages, offering cost-effective business, commercial, and personal insurance. Petrotrans, providing innovative solutions for the energy industry. TELUS, for all your communication needs. Secure Energy, the leader in customer-focused solutions for the energy industry. Field Safe Solutions, made by the field, for the field. Field Safe Solutions help drive safety culture for field workers by providing easy-to-use solutions that provide real-time information. Remember to check out our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for updates.
Accio down, and unfortunately this would be a perfect spot for a guy like Arabin Pebble, the 16-year-old, to jump in, who got a start in the opening game, as Tofa is the injured player. Once again, that left wing looks like Everett Orgnero is going to come in. We'll get that official, but yeah, after playing the opening game. We'll get the official word from the fourth official and our in-house announcer, Rob, in just a moment. Well, it looks like Tofa's going to continue here. Orgnero, the only forward on the list of 7 substitutes. So once again,
Oh, here he goes. It's a block.
could be a steal. Bent wasn't expecting it, but he'll adjust. Look at the moves here. And Pritchard knew he'd be offside, so he didn't, or Rendell knew he'd be offside, so he didn't bother going for the ball. It'll be a goal kick for Trasolini, but I mean, in the Vancouver game 7 days ago, Paul, like, it was just turnovers and takeaways constantly. We haven't seen that at all today. This is the exception.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, both teams really want to end up with a win. They're being careful. They're holding possession.
This is Rendell again, trying to build from that left midfield position. A square ball, as they like to call it, a parallel play. It looked like it went off the hand of Polisi, but that one, Corey Bentz, up and away.
And now you can see the legs are getting tired. Corey Bent normally would have put that hard and low. He's, his energy levels are out, so he leaned back and put it over top.
Caught from the top of the boot there. 86 minutes on the big board. No scoring on the big board as of yet. That seems to be the likely occurrence here, but things have been created out of nowhere several times. There just hasn't been the finish. Thank you so much for joining us here live or on the archive on YouTube Live, the official home of USL League 2. And Canada Footy News for doing all the work behind the scenes, Simon and the boys. Be sure to subscribe for coverage of Foothills FC as well as Calgary FC from the stadium in Spruce Meadows. Make sure you're a subscriber of Canada Footy News. But I was going to say, I think both teams are happy that they don't have to see each other again for the rest of the year, and they'll have a fresh opponent next week.
Yeah, no, it's again, these guys are true battlers, and this is just the kind of game that is fantastic for the fans. Just the back and forth battling of the ball. And you can see the big impact that Gindo's having on the play in the defense for Rovers.
Against their
And
Canadian counterpart Regina, 5-0.
Wow, fantastic.
5-0 WFC over Regina's Queen City United. As I said, we'll have a recap of that game for you on our websites later tonight and all week long as we count down to the home opener for the women. It'll be a revenge match against Queen City United 7 days from today. 88th minute. Trying to play some small ball. Rendell's onside, crossing through. Campanile again about half a stride too late.
Again, Rendell making a big impact coming on as a substitute.
Yeah, he's looked exceptional.
He's been the difference in this last 5-10 minutes. He's been doing a lot of good pressuring and getting the ball coughed up.
He might earn, based on whatever he does in training this week, might earn the start in Portland again, compared to Francisco Bartolillo, who didn't play badly, but he certainly hasn't made the impacts. I think this is where we're going to have Tofa's official substitution, and yeah, he's going to come off the field. Let's get the announcement from Rob.
Well, first touch.
First touch, exactly, for Blake.
Ooh.
For Blake Fenton, number 3. He will sub in for Tofa. That is correct. 3 for 11 on that left wing position.
Again, couldn't hurt to have some fresh legs. Might make a difference here in the last few minutes.
Halifax, Nova Scotia, born and raised. Halifax City FC, his team last year, and he played at St. FX University. A lot of players from that AUS conference. Not so strong in football, but obviously very productive compared to the rest of the country, but very productive when it comes to soccer.
Again,
Foothills FC substitution, exiting the game, number 11, Tofa Fakunle. Entering the game, number 3, Blake Fenton.
Blake Fenton officially in. 90 minutes has occurred. And we'll get to the count. Big punch out. Trasolini decided not to take the chance on attempting to catch the ball. And we'll have a corner kick here. Corey Bent. Oh boy. Guerrero does not like that call. Minimum of 3 minutes will be added to our clock. A minimum of 3 minutes.
There will be a minimum of 3 minutes extra added time.
as you can see, Corey Bent almost out of gas. He's on his last fumes. Try and finish the game.
Yeah, they'll all be sleeping in tomorrow. Off a couple of different heads. Vancouver ball. Fresh soccer ball for Mr. Trasolini. And Calgary's last 2 or 3 chances have all been those centering plays that the receiver's just been that half a second, half a stride too late.
Oh, there goes Bent.
All right, Corey Bent will be subbed out. Number 7. And coming into the game, number 17, Everett Orgnero. 17 for 7 on that right wing. In the middle of extra time, a minimum of 3 minutes will be played. And Calgary's really dominated these last 10, 12 minutes. There's been nothing for Ben Jackson to have to deal with. Except maybe right now. On the far side, cutting it across. Didn't miss the crossbar by much. That's all Vancouver really has on their resume today is 2 crossbars.
Foothills FC substitution. Exiting the game, number 7, Corey Bent. Entering the game, number 17, Everett Orgnero.
And as you said, Paul, Corey Bent completely out of gas.
Totally out of gas. He's given everything he's got. And I think that was a very smart move by Leon to get him out of there.
Polisi, one of the leading scorers in USL this year, has been very well handled today. Has had to come up big defensively, but this could be his moment. Yellow card called. Looks like the card against Hayfield, number 6. They'll have to be careful here.
As you
not
can see,
the time you want to give up a goal, does Hapgood and the Foothills FC.
As you can see, Gendo is right in there, going for the header, using his height.
Baldissimo. Trasolini at the 45-yard line here. His own. Baldissimo. A cutter. Header. Wide. Goal kick.
And that's it for the game.
And that's it for the game. That is your ball game, folks. That is a very entertaining 0-0 scoreline, Paul.
Phenomenal game.
What a great contest.
Two teams all wanting to win, giving everything they got right up to the last
We'd
second.
like to thank you for attending the TSS FC Rovers game versus your Foothills FC. Remember to check out our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for updates. We hope to see you at our Foothills WFC home opener next Sunday.
Paul, just your 90-minute thoughts
Sure,
before we
just
sign
on
off
a
here.
90 minutes here. Again, fantastic game. Second half, both teams pushing. Rovers trying their strategy of bringing up Jordan Haynes left back up the outside to create some pressure on Foothills. It worked for a bit there. Again, but then Foothills reacted. Good back and forth action. Basic opportunities for both teams. Phenomenal game. Great for the fans.
And a coach ejection at the same time. You don't see those every day.
You don't. A coach ejection in the first half. So, again, two teams that just want to give everything they got on the field. And that's the fantastic thing about USL too. You get that kind of quality soccer and that kind of passion for the game.
2 wins and a draw for Foothills FC, and maybe we'll see these guys in July, but maybe not. But for everybody on the staff, on the mic and behind the camera, and who work for both teams in the office 7 days a week, we thank you so much for watching. We'll play somebody else next week. Foothills FC at Portland, and Vancouver gets a well-deserved break. Good luck to both teams for the rest of the year. Vancouver fans, we thank you so much for watching. Check out AFTN Canada for the rest of 2019's live coverage from Swangard. Have a great weekend, folks. 0-0 is your final score. Thank you so much for watching.